Hello everyone and welcome back to Clear Creek Solutions software educational videos. We're on to part 2 of our Esri ArcGIS series, so if you missed part 1, you can see that on our channel, and like and subscribe to continue to see these type of videos and make sure you don't miss out on them. Anyways, we went over how to download and purchase and install ArcGIS in the previous video. Now we're going to go over what are the different file types in ArcGIS, how is some of the folders organized here, so we know what we're doing. We know what we're how we're organized and where we need to navigate to actually get the files in an ArcGIS project. So I'm also in version 10.82. It seems like that version is going to be there for a while now, but just in case you see this video in the future. And now let me go to what the file types in ArcGIS are. So there's a number of files. We have shape files, which are .shp. We have index files, database files, projection files, and extensible markup language files, which are XML files. Now you'll see that the shape files actually are made up of many other smaller individual files, and I'll explain what those purposes are here. And there's a number of surface types in ArcGIS as well. There's raster, tin, LAS, terrain, and image files. I'll show you how to import an image as well into a project. So we're going to cover shape files. And shape files actually are made up of many different files. I'm going to explain that here, and also what the folder situation looks like when you do have a shape file. So the shape files include the main file, the index file, the database file, the projection file, that extensible markup language file, and then the spatial index file, or .sbn or .sbx, or a code, and also the code page file. So this is my file explorer here for what makes up a shape file. So I've clipped practice, that is the .shp shape file, but it's made up of these 5 smaller files here. You can see that these files make up that actual shape file there. So when you navigate to your folder, that's what's going to be contained there. And so the main file, the SHP or the shape file, is a mandatory Esri file that gives features their geometry. Every shape file has its own .shp file that represents spatial vector data. For example, it could be points, lines, and polygons in the map. The index file, or the SHX, are mandatory Esri and AutoCAD shape index positions. This type of file is used to search forward and backward. And then the database file is a standard database file used to store attribute data and object IDs. A database file is mandatory for shape files, and you can also open them in Microsoft Access or Excel. Then we have the code page file. The code page files are optional plain text files that describe the encoding applied to actually create that shape file. If your shape file doesn't have a .cpg file, then it has a system default encoding. So all these files are required to construct a shape file, and you can find these files in your project data folder, which I'll show you. There was a screenshot there, but I'll also show you. And then when importing, just simply drag the shape file into the modeling space. So you don't have to drag all those files into an ArcGIS project to actually get the shape file to show up. It's contained in that shape file when you do it, and then referenced in the folder. However, when you're moving files in your file explorer, you're going to need to move all the pertinent files that need to be copied to that destination folder. So you can't just move one individual shape file. If you're in the file explorer, you need to copy all of the other pertinent files. But when you're adding it to an ArcGIS project, you can just simply import that .shp or that shape file to now have it in your project. So hopefully that makes sense. There are many surface types in ArcGIS. These surface types are stored based on their characteristics. The surfaces are stored as either a raster or vector data, and a 3D surface is usually derived or calculated using specially designed algorithms that sample point line or polygon data and convert it into a digital 3D surface. So what are the different surface types in ArcGIS? Well, we have rasters. Surfaces that are rasters in nature can be stored in a personal file or multi-user geodatabase. And there are 2 methods for storing those rasters in the geodatabase. A tin is a triangulated irregular networks, are vector equivalents of raster-based surfaces. A series of nodes are joined together by triangular surfaces that represent the surface for display. An LAS dataset stores reference to 1 or more LAS files on disk, as well as to additional surface features. And then the terrain dataset is unique to ArcGIS. The terrain dataset is a collection of participating feature classes that are contained in a feature data set. Terrains define how multi-tier solution tin surfaces are generated on the fly according to a logical indexing of spatially organized source data. Now, can we also import images into GIS? Yes, we can. So the supported file types include JPEG, JPEG, a PNG, a TIFF, or a TIFF with 2 Fs. The file needs to be valid and recognized by ArcGIS for you to actually import it. And then later, when you import any of those layers or an image into ArcGIS, you can edit the transparency and the view of those images so that you can modify how you're actually viewing all those different layers in ArcGIS. We'll get into how to mess with layers and styles in a future video. So that is an example in ArcGIS. Let me actually pull up some. So this is the file explorer here. You can see in this folder for documents ArcGIS that in this folder here, you can see the shape file, the clip practice, and these are all the other pertinent files that are a part of practice. So I've actually pulled up ArcGIS, go to that folder. Now, if I wanted to import it into my project, I do not need to do this and then import it. You can just grab the shape file and copy it into ArcGIS, and then you now have that shape file in your ArcGIS session. But like I said, if you're going to be moving files between different files or different folders in the file explorer, you need to actually shift click and move all of them if you wanted to move all of those. So that is just a simple explanation there for importing. Now, what if we wanted to add an image to ArcGIS? Well, that's very possible as well. Let me go here. I have an image right here in my folder. I can drag it in. Now, there's not going to be any projection data associated with this image. So that's okay. I'm just going to select OK there. But we can actually add this image to our ArcGIS project. And we can see that the image actually does show up in our ArcGIS project. It could be potentially a background. It could be anything. Now, having projection data actually has it mean something on a coordinate system with other shape files, but we can import these as a background for our project uses. So that's a simple explanation of the different kinds of files and surfaces in ArcGIS, as well as how to move these files between different file explorers and in your project. If you have a question, you should leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel so you can keep up with the series. We thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next video.